It's time for the show that brings the magic right to your speakers. Ears up!
What's going on, everybody? Ears Up Podcast. I tell you, it is our first show in October, and October we do spooky month stuff, right? We do spooky season nonsense. So today we're talking about the Haunted Mansion. Specifically, though, and we always talk about the Haunted Mansion around this time of year, as does everybody. We love it. It's my personal favorite ride. It's my personal favorite attraction. It's my personal favorite aesthetic, I think, across the parks. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic thing. However, there were parts about the Haunted Mansion that were planned and developed that should have been in there that were not in there. So on today's show, we're going to go through that. Specifically, I'm talking about the Museum of the Weird with our good friend of the show, Mr. Rolly Crump. His whole concept of what the Haunted Mansion should be. We're going to go through all that kind of stuff. It'll be a great time. I have a presentation for you guys. I have some video and whatever. It'll be a good time. Taryn has 13 facts about the Haunted Mansion that you probably didn't know.
Whoa, and I have one.
And Erik has one, but there's always room for one more.
Oh, we did it.
We did it. We did it, folks. We did it. So we're going to be going through all that kind of stuff. It'll be great. And we'll probably have some Disney news because if you've been following along at all in the news sphere, there's been some Haunted Mansion news, very sad news, and just some other stuff to talk about. Like that. So it'll be a good show, man. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for everything. What I'm most excited for, I was talking to my doctor the other day, just like casual. Yes. Yeah. So okay, we talk a lot on this show, at least I do, specifically about getting old. You know what I mean? You get old, but you don't know that you're getting old. Do you ever do this? I think right now, I'm 47. I think I'm 34. That's in my head. That's the way I feel for the most part. And I think of myself in my 30s.
I'm 45 and I'm pretty sure that everybody is 45.
Yeah, see, I don't know, man. And it's weird because I wish I have Peter Pan syndrome to a certain extent where I enjoy it. It feels like everybody else is progressing as they grow. As they get older, they're going through life. My nieces are getting married and everybody's having kids and whatever. I'm I feel like I'm in the same place. I'm a vampire and everybody else is just growing older. I'm wow, that's going to be, that's going to be sad when they die. Or not that, but something like that, right? That'll be cool. My myriad of mental health issues, that's probably the main one. It's probably the least obtrusive in my life. Okay. But it feels weird to get older because
I understand. Yes.
Yeah. Well, specifically with my unique brain chemistry, let's be kind to ourselves here. It feels like you get strange reminders that the way that you feel isn't reality. So you're only as old as you feel until your doctor says we should change your medication. Then
your doctor says, that liver ain't doing so great.
Yeah. Then it's oh man. It's I've had high cholesterol for my entire life, probably.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Super high cholesterol. And I've been on a medication for it. And it's familial. It's genetic. It's hereditary.
Yeah.
It's not my diet. It's not anything like that. Because I've gone through years and literally decades. Right. Again, this is a reminder of how old I am. It's been decades since I've been on this friggin' horse pill. And finally, he's look, we should probably move you to a statin. And I'm what? I feel like I'm 65 because in my head, I'm still in my mid 30s. I'm that's something a 40 or 50-year-old would tell. Oh, shoot.
What were you on, Jim Fibrazil?
Yeah.
Oh, horse pill and cholesterol.
There you go. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm showing my hand here.
There you go. So I don't know. Anyway, and he's a good dude. I like the guy. And it was just we had I don't know. It's nice when you can find a doctor you can kind of open up to, and just be like, look, sure, dude, I feel uncomfortable. I need some care about this to let me know. this isn't like my arteries aren't like solid rock. You know what I mean? Like there's still some elastic. He's like, no, dude. He's like, you got, and so he goes through the whole thing. He's like, it's preventative. It's just because your cholesterol sucks and your body sucks and you're an old person. I'm like, you know what? Okay. But anyway, that's the point. It was kind of like, it was a reality moment of like realizing my age. And now I know why men have midlife crises. Because it's that here's the other thing about aging. I've always thought that specifically guys, and I don't know too much about women in general. Just that they exist. And, right? Yeah, they exist and they smell nice. That's it. That's all I know about it. And if you look at them too long, they run back into the bushes. That's it. That's all I know. But men specifically, we tend to, most of us, not me because I'm cool, tend to be stuck in the musical genre that we loved in high school. Not many men tend to branch out beyond their high school or college, let's say formative years, with music. That's why you still get a lot of people listening to like classic rock and all this kind of nonsense that kind of just, generally stinks.
Yeah, I'm going to just stop you for just a moment right here and say in high school, I was a giant frickin' nerd and I listened to jazz and show tunes.
And what do you do now?
I listen to
the majority of stuff.
I listen to more stuff. I've been learning about David Bowie. I mean,
Jesus Christ. It is way too late in the millennium for anybody to be like, you know what I've been learning about.
Well, but anyway, I've kind of reconnected with a lot of the stuff that my dad listened to.
Yeah.
Like listening to a lot of classic rock, like getting involved in that. But like, yeah, in high school, I hated all of that music. But I have also kind of reconnected to some of the music that I should have been listening to in high school if I wasn't a giant freaking nerd.
See? Well, there you go. But I mean, in general, right? I'm talking generalities here. There's, there's a lot. And so I feel like... Are you
saying I'm special?
You are definitely special. I will say that 100%.
Thank you.
Anyway, I feel like that's also a show your age moment too, where like you go to a concert and you're only listening to, Steppenwolf, and then suddenly your significant other, your friend, drags you off to like a relatively recent concert. And you're like, wow, this is different than just chord progression weirdness. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I feel like when you graduate onto a new medication that I feel like is a step up for a potential life-threatening disease or whatever, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not fragile. My life, I need to do things. I need to acquire stuff. Where's my convertible, my short shorts? I don't know. Anyway, weird stuff.
I totally get it. Because it's like, what have I done with my career? Should I be further in my career?
See, here's the thing. My career sucks. I don't have a job. Like, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. But that's also a part of this kind of like midlife free fall where it's just like, I got a rejection letter today. Like I can't find anything. Man. And so you go that plus getting older. I don't know. It's just wild. Right, this has been a weird week, man.
You're like, okay, so Sister Louise at
Sister
Loyola,
Christian?
who died at 106 today. She was the chaplain for the Chicago Loyola basketball team until last year when she retired at 105, and she died today at 106.
Good.
And it's like, I don't think I'm gonna make it that far.
No, I don't think so either. And it's through no fault of my own. It's just my genetics are wonky. And, in case you couldn't tell, I went bald at like 28. So I don't know. Just there's the weird moments. And maybe it's talking about the Haunted Mansion. You know what I mean? Maybe it's talking about Rolly. R.I.P. to the man. It's just we are
one of the best episodes you've ever done.
I still think about it, man. I still think about how weird it is. I want to get his kid on. I want to get Chris on.
Oh, okay.
Talk about Rolly and Chris's work too. Chris is no slouch too. He was on Little Mermaid. He did a lot of stuff as well. But yeah. Anyway,
the thing just to interrupt again.
Yeah.
The thing I tell everybody about that episode is how amazing it was when he went, all right, I'm gone.
Yeah, it's like it's all in my book. You know what, jerk? I know it is. Speaking of his
And
book,
his wife is like, okay, we're over.
I know. I sent him a bottle of wine, like a really nice bottle of wine afterwards. I really appreciated his,
nice.
his participation. Okay, so he has his book, right? It's kind of a cute story, right? And we talked about it. Whatever. There's two more.
Yeah.
There's two more. I didn't know this, and the third one is about the Museum of the Weird. Sort of. It's like the dude who like helped him write it. It just kind of asked a bunch of questions and just pieced together.
It's
Rolly's
all audio views.
Yeah.
Like they've just pieced. I found this out 2 nights ago.
I found it out 3 hours ago.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, unfortunately, which is I felt like kind of like ripping him off, but whatever. It's like 40 minutes, and it's a lot of the stories you heard in his interview on the EarzUp podcast network. But there's some gems that I pulled out of there, and I have some audio from that too. So when we go through that, that was really nice to see. It was really cool to find this, gem of a timeline of the thing that we're actually going to be talking about today. That not many people, I can't really say not many people know about it anymore, but it's definitely not as well known as it should be. And when we talk about this museum and Walt's influence on it, for me, that kind of deflates the whole, anytime anybody uses, what would Walt want? Well, you can't use that because we don't have what Walt wanted for this, our attraction, for the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do, right?
All right.
I don't know. Well, you know what? Why don't we just get into it? We are waiting on Taryn, of course, but I think we should just jump into the whole mess. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So I have a presentation, of course. Let me bring that up here. So those of you on Twitch, you can check it out and look there. If not, I will download the PDF of this presentation that I put together and put it in our Discord channel as per usual. However, what I am going to do is here, I'll close that because I'm not ready yet.
This is why I haven't released I haven't finished the strike episode, because I keep feeling like I need more multimedia. But there isn't much media. But still,
you can only do so much, man. You know what I mean?
I can just read books and talk, and
there we go.
Pretend I know what I'm talking about.
So what we're gonna do when it comes time to the photo portion of this presentation, we're gonna try our best to describe it as much as we can, but also look this stuff up. Just go pull up Rolly Crump Museum of the Weird artwork. Go buy his books because they're fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And get a real deep dive into what this guy brought to the table and what was summarily cut from what could have been a really different Haunted Mansion. So let's get into it. Like most things in Disney's past that are cool and awesome, this story starts with a man called Rolly Crump. If you want to hear the worst interview I've ever done in my entire life, you can go back and listen to me talk to him about everything in his book, as he told me, but you don't need to know much about the man to know that he probably had the most creative take on what should be in the parks. Rolly's vision was unlike anything folks had ever seen before, and Walt knew it. Walt put Rolly on 2 projects that would go on to be some of the most famous theme park attractions in history: the Haunted Mansion and It's a Small World. I can say that, right? I mean, that's pretty fair to say. I was writing that. I was like, is that hyperbolic? But I think that's pretty good. Or maybe maybe it's hyperbaric, Erik.
Hyperbaric. No, well, I mean, then that brings to mind Michael Jackson. Let's stay away from that side.
I heard...
No, these are the most famous things.
They are, right? I mean, especially in Disneyland, but I would say theme park history in general. Yeah. I think that's fair to say.
Oh, absolutely.
I heard a joke, by the way, Erik. It sort of reminded me of this. How do you get if you have a friend who is a pharmacist and they don't call you back, send them a text saying, hey, I've been taking antibiotics, but the thing is cleared up right now, so I'm not going to take the rest of them. That's a joke, I guess.
My skin is crawling right
now. See, there you go. All right, good. All right. This show is not about what happened, but what didn't happen. While Rolly was working on the effects for Haunted Mansion with Yale Gracie, he dreamed up weird attractions and gags because, as he said, Walt liked to scare people, and he wanted to give his guests that feeling of a fun scare when they went through the Haunted Mansion. But not everyone was interested in Rowley's interpretation of how Walt wanted the mansion to be, because I think a lot like Walt typically did back then, as opposed to now, he would just, be like, yeah, this is cool, this is great, do something like this. And then you leave it up to the interpretation of the Imagineer or the artist to be like, this is what I think, this is my take on what you said. Rowley had a different take on things than the other Imagineers did. And not everybody appreciated that. As a result, there was a fair amount of infighting amongst the Imagineers regarding just how spooky things should be. But Rowley, being Rowley, plugged along anyway, which tracks because he never seemed like the kind of guy to deal with office drama or politics. If Walt liked spooky, he was going to get spooky. And him and Rowley had conversations about what the Haunted Mansion should be. Walt wanted to give everyone a thrill. And other people were like, no, it should be family friendly. Originally supposed to open in 1963, Walt had been contracted to do several attractions for the upcoming World's Fair in New York. So work was paused on the Haunted Mansion despite having a facade and an advertised opening date already made public. And the teams of the Imagineering department went to work on the fair stuff, which is like, it's a small world and the Tower of the Four Winds. And I think something for Ford and the animatronic for Lincoln. Like they had a lot to do in a year. The timeline was so short. He just didn't have a lot of time. When all that work was said and done, the Imagineers had a bunch of free time again. And once more, the Haunted Mansion was spun to life. It's in this 2-year period, sort of after the World's Fair, that Rowley sketched all of his Museum of the Weird things. And I have some audio that I pulled from that audio book. So hang on. Here it is.
So then we came back from the World's Fair and we all kind of sat around and there wasn't anything for us to do. And so after a while, after a week or two of just looking at magazines and stuff, I thought, well, I'm going to go back and start drawing up some of the ideas that I have that might go into the mansion. And so that's when I started drawing the Candleman and some of the other figures. I also developed the seance room. I had come up with the concept of the seance room for the mansion, but I hadn't drawn it up or anything. And so I drew that up. And then I started drawing up some weird figures and stuff. And, of course, that was a takeoff on the films that I had seen that I thought were kind of a lot of fun, and they had a lot of abstract kind of surrealistic pieces in them. And like Beauty and the Beast, Jacques Cousteau's French film, to where the big monster would come into his castle, and as he'd walk down the hallway, there were these human arms holding torches that would lead the way. So I started developing that. I did columns that were human parts that built a column. I did chandeliers that were also made out of human bones and parts. And so I was just having a real good time with this. Well, I had worked on Jack Fergus, the model builder that was a personal friend of mine that worked next door, asked me, he says, Rolly, do you mind if I make some models of what you're doing? I said, no, go ahead, Jack. And so he did that. Meanwhile, because
Oh, man. Good old Rolly. First of all, I love this. After a couple weeks of just looking at magazines, it sounds like they're just in a mechanics shop way out in the boondocks and they have nothing to do. You mean to tell me in 1964 there was nothing to do in that park at all? You're just sitting around looking at magazines, dog? Anyway.
They're not in maintenance. They're trying to do
well, I guess
stuff.
Yeah, I guess. Fill their buckets or whatever. So as he was saying one day, one of his friends, Jack, I forget his last name, one of the model builders, he worked kind of next door to Rowley, asked if he could build a couple of the models of the drawings that Rowley was working on at the time for the Haunted Mansion specifically, right? Since there wasn't anything going on. As Rowley tells it, Dick Irvine saw this guy, Jack, and a couple maybe other people maybe painting up some Rowley paintings or just doing some stuff, right? Working on these small mansion things and decided to spin that project back up. So Rowley sort of, and this is why I love this man, because he doesn't brag. He's not braggadocious at all. It's not like a false, pride thing. He's very matter of fact. And it's almost like he can prove it, where it's like, nothing was happening on the mansion until Dick Irvine, who was head of WED at the time, saw other people doing stuff on it and said, oh yeah, we should do that again. And then the things started happening more on the Haunted Mansion. I love that. I absolutely love that. So the time eventually came for all the boys to showcase Walt their ideas for the Haunted Mansion, the gags, the artwork, all that kind of stuff. Now remember, this is after the pause, right? Whomever was in charge of determining the order in which they would show things off to Walt decided to put Rolly's stuff last in the back of the room. He was the last presenter, and he talked about this moment on the show. And
He's
they were
the weirdo.
Yeah, and they were thinking either Walt would hate his stuff, or going on the consensus of the room, everyone else hated his stuff, didn't want it in there. They wanted, like I said, the mansion to be family friendly, all that kind of stuff. So they're like, you know what? Just put all that weird nonsense in the back, dude. No one will care. As Walt was leaving, he spotted Rolly's designs and had him pitch them to the room. And I'll get to what those designs were, but the next day, Walt approached Rolly and told him he was pissed off at Rolly because after looking at those designs, looking at what Rolly presented, he didn't get any sleep. But he loved what Rolly had done, and perhaps as a way to appease both the Imagineers who didn't like the kind of macabre stuff, as you heard Rolly describe, a lot of body parts, a lot of bones and skulls and creepy stuff, but also to use good ideas because fundamentally Walt knew what a good idea was, right?
Oh, yeah.
Walt said they were going to move forward with all of Rolly's work, but we're going to put it in a kind of museum of the weird. So the Museum of the Weird was Walt's idea 100%. And Rolly forever gave him credit for that, which I think is very nice too. Rolly said in an interview about this, quote, all he had to do was go home and spend some time with himself and he'd come up with everything. He was a delight to work with. You never felt like you worked for Walt. You felt like you worked with Walt because that's the way he made you feel. He encouraged your creativity. He was part of the magic. He was part of everything we did.
That's the collaboration that they had for the company thus far. Really was an artist, and suddenly this guy is saying, hey, design a park for me.
Right. Like, exactly.
Oh, gosh.
Justin, how you doing, Taryn? Taryn's breaking. She's going Hulk mode. You good?
Hello.
Now, this was more than a concept because Walt backed this idea of the museum 100%. He loved it. Rolly made the mock-ups working with his friend Jack. He made models. They made context for his creations. And they even presented it on the Disneyland TV show with Walt in 1964. And I'll play a clip of that. But what's interesting about that, in this audiobook, Rolly, he goes, people ask me like how I got on the TV show. I don't know. But Walt specifically wanted me and 5 other Imagineers to be presenting ideas. Well, in the final cut, it was only me and 2 other guys. And one was Mark Davis, I believe, and then someone else. He's like, he's like, Walt must have loved my ideas enough to have me on TV to present them as kind of like those things in the TV show were like what we're working on, right? So Walt loved this idea so much so that he put it on film as a way to, like, in my mind, just kind of solidify this is the direction we're going. This is what we want.
Is this the film where he's walking around with the with the ambassador, the plaid?
Yes.
I can't remember her name. And they just walk up to Rolly, and Rolly's like, "Hello, I'm wearing a short sleeve white shirt, looking professional, and not like a pothead."
We're about to watch it right here.
Roland, I want you to meet Julie Reams. She is Miss Disneyland Pensennial. This is Roland Crump, who for the project here is sort of acting as the interior decorator of a house of illusion. What do we call it?
Museum of the Weird.
Museum of the Weird. Will you tell her about some of these things, Roland?
These are going to be collected from all over the world, supposedly, and we're going to have man-eating plants, and we're going to have a coffin clock here that we're working on right now. We have a gypsy cart that comes to life with ghosts inside of it. We have a candle man. These are just things that are collected from all over the world. Just the weirdest things we could find.
Yeah, we're also collecting real ghosts to bring you. You believe in ghosts, don't you, Julie?
No.
You don't?
Not really.
Well, let me take you over here and convince you that they do exist. Now, you peek right in this little thing here. And then you tell me what you see. Now, peek in there. What do you see?
Organ.
What's going on?
It's playing.
Yes.
A ghost.
A ghost is playing, sure. What kind of a ghost?
A skeleton ghost.
Yeah, well, we have all kinds of ghosts, you know. Okay. Now you believe, I hope. Huh?
Have to.
I'll come right over here and I'll show you where you're going to meet the ghost.
No,
This is
so that's the presentation that they did with Rolly, and that little thing with the organ and the ghost, that'll come up a little bit later. That's a concept that never got fully developed. So while not a very long clip, it was the best and most comprehensive look at what the Museum of the Weird would be. And like I said, Walt believed in this so much, he put it on his friggin' TV show. God's sakes, right? In it, Rolly shows off some little models of his coffin clock and candle man, of which we'll get to a little bit later. And I was noticing even the coffin clock design from his original design to the model is different. Similar, but the face is different. It's just, things evolved in his artwork. So how would this Museum of the Weird work in context of the Haunted Mansion? Well, I'm so glad you asked. The museum itself would have been a walkthrough to be navigated as guests exited the Haunted Mansion. And in there, Rolly's art would be on display in the various forms, separate from the more family-friendly-ish aspects of the mansion itself. So as you exit the Haunted Mansion itself, you would go into a rotunda, large rotunda kind of thing. And at the center would be this large gypsy wagon. And every so often, the lights of the whole museum would flicker and dim, and this wagon would come apart. It would break apart. Flames would appear. The doors and windows would open, allowing guests to see inside the wagon. And as you go and off the rotunda were these corridors for folks to wander through with small effects or vignettes playing. And an example is what we just saw in the video of this was a ghostly organ that would play. And then suddenly a skeleton would appear in the organist's seat as he was the one playing it. And Rolly was saying that he got this inspiration from the World's Fair in Seattle, although I don't know if he meant Seattle, if he meant New York, but, whatever. Where in the French pavilion of the World's Fair, they had hallways like this where you go down and there's little vignettes, of movies playing about painters. And you can sit in this little hollowed out, thing in the hallway and watch a 15-minute movie on, your Monet or whatever. Right? So he wanted to take that concept, bring it over here, and then he would have those effects pop every 3 minutes or something like that. So you can kind of just get a nice feel for it, a leisurely stroll. And sounds great.
Love the walkthroughs.
Yeah, I love the walkthrough too, man. Another concept involved the sea captain, which is the original main character of the mansion,
yeah.
right? And so here's Rolly explaining how that would work.
Of course, all kinds of special effects would be coming out of the organ while he was playing it. We also would have one room that would be of the sea captain's room, to where he actually comes back, and these were little 3-minute films that you'd see, but 3-minute pieces, to where he would all of a sudden appear in his room after he had drowned at sea. And here you'd see the old sea captain there with his big old hat and big robe on and everything, and the seaweed hanging off of him, and standing there in sopping wet. And then, of course, behind him would be the brick wall to where he had murdered his wife, and she was bricked up in the wall. And then, of course, the end of that little particular scene would be that she would come out screaming and attack him where he's standing on the floor. And then, of course, both of them disappear.
How cool would that have been?
Yeah.
Incredible.
And I've never heard that.
Right?
I've always heard the original effect where him and Yale were working on the sea captain melting or dissolving into water or something like that. But that's a new one. I'd never heard that before until today.
The ghost flying into him and
yeah, and that's all from his audiobook. That's a clip I just took from the audiobook. So there you go. Another one is at the end of the hallway or whatever. It was a library, and this is a room you can actually walk into, maybe kind of like the Beast's library that used to be there, R.I.P.
Oh, yeah. I love that place.
At the far end was a large fireplace, which would have human heads on the walls, lots of projections in there. And at the end of all of this, of course, would be a gift shop.
Oh,
and in Rolly's interview, he's like, yeah, that was Walt's idea. It's just put all the merchandise there at the end. But dig this. He was like in this interview, again, from his audiobook, he's like, they would have pieces from the museum for sale, like skulls and shrunken heads and stuff like that. Imagine!
It would be amazing.
The consumer in me was flipping out when I was listening to this man discuss, and it's just that's the line. He just literally said skulls and shrunken heads and stuff. So I'm imagining all the other cool pieces that are in there now, or that his concept art would maybe be for sale.
Yeah, I'm actually glad it doesn't exist because we would have no money.
It would. We don't have any money anyway. It would have. It would have. I don't know. I'll get to it later, right? We'll talk about it because these things, had they worked out, would have fundamentally changed the Haunted Mansion in several ways. Yeah. It would have changed merchandising. It would have changed a lot of stuff. Everything would be different, and I don't know if that's good or not. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But when totaled, it was estimated by Rowley that it would take a bit over an hour, maybe an hour and a half, to get through the whole thing, the mansion and the museum and whatever, because you have every 15 minutes the gypsy cart would pop, and then you go down the hallway, you got 3 minutes for each thing, and then you work, whatever, right? It takes some time, right? Not super feasible with today's crowd levels, but it's a long time, dude. Can you imagine? That would be, that's insane.
That's a bit too long, I think.
So despite the creative output, plans for the opening of the Haunted Mansion were halted, like I said, in favor of planning the Disney exhibits for the 1964 World's Fair in New York. When Rowley was pulled off the Haunted Mansion and maybe the museum, I'm not really sure. I think that timeline kind of blends a little bit, to do It's a Small World as well as his Tower of the Four Winds. Then in 1965, when the fair was over, Small World was brought back to Disneyland, installed, so he had to work on some of the changes on that and the facade and everything. That opened in May of 1966. What else happened in 1966 was the passing of Walter Disney in December of that year. Now, Walt, being Rowley's biggest champion, especially with the Museum of the Weird, but I think also just in other stuff in general, was no longer around to insist on its completion and installation. So things quickly went south for Rowley. Dick Irvine, who was head of Imagineering at the time, didn't want Rowley's art anywhere near their new attraction. And that's some of the friction that Rowley's talked about before in our interview in his book. And again, this is why Rowley was so great, because it's just the fact. Like, he wasn't saying it in a bad way. He was just stating fact that Dick Irvine and a lot of other people didn't want my drawings and stuff inside the Haunted Mansion. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't get people saying that a lot. Like, this is the thing that's wrong with whatever, even though it's factual, and even though there's no emotion about it, and there's no blame necessarily, just is what it is. You don't really get people being that honest. And I think he knew that fans deserve to kind of know, like, this is what happened. So this is what happened. So Dick Irvine pulled Rowley off the mansion, and he put Claude Coates and Mark Davis on the case. And this Rowley was kind of left out to dry a little bit. And we've talked about that before in the history of Haunted Mansion, where Coates and Mark Davis kind of clashed back and forth. Claude wanted some more spooky things. Mark Davis wanted more jokes. And that's why the kind of schism is presented in the story of the Haunted Mansion, where you have spooky things in the graveyard. So anyway, now Rowley and Mark Davis had worked together on a few things, and they shared a similar humor. So some of Rowley's personality and art designs have in fact worked their way into the final design of the Haunted Mansion, just not in the Museum of the Weird way we've been talking about. Influenced by the 1946 Jean Cocteau film La Belle et la Bête, with body parts coming out of the walls and kind of stuff like that, which is where we got the arm sconce holders. You guys know what I'm talking about, especially at the end. So the arm coming out with the holding the candlestick.
I love those.
Direct lift from this 1946 movie. Okay. Rowley's designs also had a lot of faces in them. And if you look carefully around the grounds and within the concept art of the mansion itself, you can see faces represented in many places. And that's true today. And I feel like that was a direct Rowley influence. Rowley's thing for the mansion was always to have it sort of like a living thing. So there are faces, either they're ghost faces or demon faces or some sort of representation of humanity, of a body within the walls of the house. And there's some concept art that talks about bones in the wall, or human torsos and heads at the bottom of the fireplace, and just things like that. It was kind of macabre and dark, but whatever, right? So I think anywhere you see kind of a face and a design of a structure of the Haunted Mansion, I think that's Mark Davis kind of letting his friend, help design some things a little bit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Not to mention the most famous aspect of the mansion, I think, the stretching portrait room, was in part a Crump representation, even though Mark Davis generally gets credit for it. So I've heard in interviews and other people documenting Rolly interviews that was his idea, the stretching portrait room. It's kind of neat.
The whole room.
The whole room. The concept of the room.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Having the organ in the ballroom is another concept that was in Rolly's original designs for the mansion, later carried over by Mark Davis. So I think that's a direct lift from Museum of the Weird, the skeleton organist with the skeleton appearing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a direct copy. That's brought over. That's a Rolly design.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anyway, you get the picture. So what did Rolly design that got Walt all heated enough to not only lose sleep over, but to kind of reimagine the mansion as a whole, adding on an extra section to it at the end, which is kind of what happened, right? I mean, they had the facade built. They had a lot of the stuff going. They had the gags already. And then Rolly came in presenting all this other stuff. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. we need to move some of this. We need to have a whole extra, thing at the end. Who does that? Walter. All right. So here's some of the pictorial presentations. Hopefully the chat can see. Couldn't hear. So this is the gypsy cart, and I do apologize. It's a little, it's not as crisp as I would like it, but that's what happens when you lift things from the internet. The gypsy cart, maybe his largest work. Rolly's gypsy cart, like most of the things we're going to talk about, kind of defy description, which makes them the perfect thing to talk about within an audio format. But I'll try my best, and you guys, help me out if you can. Now, the gypsy cart is your standard four-wheeled horse-drawn cart draped with colorful fabrics. Sometimes kind of look like rugs. It depends. I don't know, man. Some are on the top. Others are flapping in the breeze off the back. The sides had these neat little textures that look like shingles, but I think they're kind of like, bones or whatever. Hard to say. The windows covered with symbols like a hand with its palm facing you, like a fortune teller hand kind of thing. At the front, the bust of a woman, like you would see at the front of old sailing ships, kept watch, and extended over her head was a wind chime of sorts. And you can see that kind of, on the right side of the frame, starting with a spider at the top. Then it moves down to a bat, which in turn sat over about a sun, maybe. I don't know. It was hard to tell. Maybe it's like an eye with just stuff coming off of it. Hard to say. I have no idea. At the top of the cart was this large sort of kinetic piece, because if you remember, Rolly loved kinetic art. That was kind of what got him into working in Imagineering and stuff. He would make those little kinetic, sculptures or whatever on his desk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little mobiles out of paper clips and paper and such. Yeah.
All the pieces are seeming like random shapes, but somehow they fit together and look purposeful. While not creepy or scary at all, the gypsy cart is strange and unusual and decidedly very much Rolly. This is Rolly Crump art, the coloring. Anyway, but that's the gypsy cart that would have been in the rotunda, and that would break apart and show you ghosts inside, and the eyes of the figurehead at the front would light up, and just a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean?
Such a wild idea.
Yeah. Now,
and I'm sure these days we would be discussing perhaps there's a better name for that cart.
Well, you know what?
Yes.
For sure, dude. Okay. Now, this is perhaps my favorite, one of my favorites, at least, the Candle Man.
Oh, gosh. The Candle Man.
Yeah. Now, this one is pretty simple. It's a man made of wax who melts in front of you, which sounds kind of like a Taylor Swift lyric, but it's not. You can kind of see...
I don't get that reference.
Just because I don't know. It doesn't matter. You can kind of see Candleman in the background of the Disneyland TV show when Rolly is showcasing all his models, which is kind of neat. In that shot, he also holds up another one of my favorite things, which is the coffin clock. which is this guy right here. So
neat.
Yeah, I love the coffin clock. I think it's great. It's really sweet. It's designed like a grandfather clock. The housing or frame or whatever it's called is in the shape of a coffin, hence the name. The weight that swings, the pendulum, below the clock face is the shape of an executioner's axe, like a double-sided axe. And the center of the clock is a devil face. Now, if you look at the model in that TV show, the face is like a skeleton face with like a wispy hair, and there's two like skeleton hands pointing on either side of it. It's, they're changing things a little bit. So now this one is called, I think it's called like the living chair or something stupid like that.
It's so cool looking.
I don't know. The original design is very hard to describe. This is what I mean, right? It's really weird.
Yeah. So
it's like an armchair, like a old style armchair with like a big back and like the 90-degree angle between the back and the seat. Like it just looks uncomfortable even from the drawing. The legs of the chair are made of like bird legs or probably more aptly like chicken legs or something like that. Or like, if you ever seen like the Baba Yaga drawing, the old like
of the hut
with the legs. Yeah, it's like that kind of thing, right? The back of the chair is a face, kind of like a devil with a goatee face. But Rolly's designs had a lot of lines and stuff in them, so it's kind of hard to make all that kind of stuff out because it
almost looks like the chair has eyes in its ears.
Yes, exactly. There's eyes, and then like you got to see it. Look it up. It's weird, dude. So the gag for this would be that the chair would come to life and stand up and like talk to you. Like the chair would be an animatronic.
Oh my God.
And I don't think that they would be able to pull it off.
No, that's
in 1966. No, there's no.
That seems
they would have
entirely too hard. But
yeah, I kind of agree, dude. Right. This next one here is another one of my favorites. And again, apologize for the terrible picture, but you'll get the point. It's titled Aquarium with Ghost Fish. And you'll never guess what it is. It's an aquarium with ghost fish in it. You know what I mean?
Excellent.
But it's not just an aquarium. So you got the aquarium and it's on a stand. But the stand legs are actually like monster mermaids is the only way I can describe them. They have like the body of the fish, up to the waist, and then, classically into like a human form. They got a little belly button. They got their breasts exposed and hanging out. But their faces are like a snake, I guess, with like fangs. It's impossible to tell in this really great image that I have. But that's what they are. And then wrapped around their necks, following up the sides of the glass and then to the top are tentacles. And they're connected to some kind of like sea monster positioned at the top with like this weird ass face. It has hair.
That'd be a sick tattoo.
I don't know. I agree. Trust me. I've thought about this. And swimming inside are what I call classic cartoon style fish skeletons. And I think you guys know what I mean, where it's like, if you're looking at a Tom and Jerry cartoon, right? And Tom is like eating fish, but he's poor and he digs a fish out of the trash and it's just the head with the classic like ribs and the tail like that, but they're swimming in the tank. Amazing concept. I think that's awesome. Now these are, most of these are my favorite. There's a ton more that he's done, but and nobody wants to listen to me discuss pictures for 25 minutes. So we're going through some of the hits, dude. Now he talked a little bit that there's just kind of some stuff there too, because remember the Museum of the Weird was going to be a collection of things from around the world that are just the weirdest things that you could find. So they don't all have a purpose. So some of them were just sculptures and things to have around, like this thing, this lizard guy. He has like two legs up front. His tail goes straight up kind of to the sky, curls around once or twice, and at the end of his tail are a bunch of these little bells. Oh, and there's a candle on his head. So I guess he's
naturally.
Like a floor, like a large sculpture where you can just shove a candle on his head and like that's it. Like that's the drawing. That's it. No notes. That's all you get.
Such a cool candelabrum.
I do think so too. This next one is really great too. God, this is terrible. Look, you guys got to go to the Discord. I'll put all the stuff there. The mistress of all evil. Now she would fly overhead and cackle while being on fire. And all I'm going to say is wood. Okay. Absolutely wood. It's a great drawing.
Yeah.
You guys know what I mean. But I can't describe it because, number one, it's a terrible drawing. But it's this very voluptuous lady with her arms spread out, and she has like a cape or something, and then she has wings, and then like a big bat on top of a skull, which is on top of her head.
It's wild.
Then you go into the library, which we talked about, at the end of the kind of hallway that they talked about. And these drawings are all over the place. Some have color, some don't, some change, some don't. But essentially, this is where the living chair would be. You can kind of see it. It's one of the pixels in the background of this photo. A lot of banners, and the banners have like different witchy symbols and kind of different, what I can only describe as late 60s weirdness. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the representation. This is the Rolly's kind of ideas about what would be in the museum, what we'd be talking about.
Such a different vibe than what we ended up with. Like,
yes.
Like this picture here looks like a mix between Alice in Wonderland and It's a Small World.
Yeah, exactly. It's
weird.
Fair, yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. Anyway, those are a few. Get Rolly's books if you want to see more. It's worth the spend. I swear to God, I would never shill anything I don't like. It's amazing.
Very good.
But Jason, you ask, are there any representations of the Museum of the Weird in the parks anywhere that I can take my family to see, or maybe just view during my alone time while I wait for my gummies to kick in? Well, I think it's weird that you phrase the question that way, but yes. Yes, there are. We've already talked about the arm sconces being part of that French film Rolly liked. He had a couple nods to them in his artwork. One was a candelabrum that was just a hand and a forearm. And that would be on the table, just like this. And then there's like 3 or 4 things, right? But the sconces in the mansion are essentially that. So again, I think that's Mark Davis going, hey, that's a great idea. That's a great idea, because they were sort of more enmeshed than Rolly and some of the other Imagineers were. So that's what that is. That classic demon-eyed plant wallpaper, we know is the famous Haunted Mansion wallpaper, was developed from a sketch Rolly created for the Museum of the Weird. When he talked in that clip, the video clip of the man-eating plants, that's one of the plants, as we all know from our awesome interview with Rolly. That was just kind of like brought over and made into wallpaper. And he's like, oh, it's all right, cool. It's not what I made, but that's great, dude. The talking chair. Now, this is in the mansion now, but not as originally designed. It looks more like, here, let me bring it up. It looks more like a very soft, uncomfortable chair.
A chair at your grandparents' house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Why do grandparents always have those chairs?
Because they look good, but you're never supposed to sit in them, so you're never supposed to know how uncomfortable they are. It's like it's a like red velvet with like white piping to kind of outline a face, but it doesn't look good. It kind of looks silly and rushed, in my opinion.
It's also too bright. Like,
yeah. So I think the bottom one, like it's like really stark white. I think that's the Disney World version. The Disneyland is a little more subdued for some reason, but they're basically the same. Look,
they honestly look silly.
You know me, dude. Like, if you're gonna do it, friggin' do it. If you're not gonna do it, don't do it. But this to me, don't do it, because it doesn't look good. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows what it is.
Yeah,
it does look like a face.
Sort of. Yes, it does. But also, I don't know. The concept wasn't a chair with a face on it. You know what I mean? The concept was a living chair. So I don't know, man. It just doesn't really seem. I don't know, whatever. It is what it is. Also in Rolly's original artwork was a Romani woman, because as Erik pointed out, you can't say gypsy anymore. You shouldn't. You can. You don't need to.
I suppose you can.
Yeah.
What is Romani?
Gypsy. So it's like it's an ethnicity, but
I've never heard that
they
before.
don't. Yeah, but they don't like that term. So it's Romani. It's like Romania, kind of.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the area that they come from. However, it can encompass. I don't know. There's like ethnic Romanis, which I guess are like ethnic kind of gypsies, but there's also all over there. Like my grandparents would tell my dad stories about how they better go to bed or the gypsies are going to kidnap him. Not referring to the Romanian race of people, but just like essentially homeless people wandering around the hills and the mountains of Athens. So there you go. But anyway, that's what I mean. Rolly's original artwork had a Romani woman who was a ghostly head in a crystal ball called Madame Z. Of course, this idea morphed into the seance room with Madame Leota, and as you heard in the interview clip that we played a little bit earlier, the seance room was his idea. It was Rolly's idea, but it was executed unlike Rolly's idea, save for Madame Leota, right? He didn't draw any concept art for it, so I can't really say that it's part of the museum, but I wanted to give him his flowers because it's a fantastic idea.
It is.
Yeah. Last year for the holiday overlay, Imagineering created a tiny candle man from his artwork and put him in the attic scene. And you can go back and see pictures of Candleman in the attic. Just type that in Google, you'll figure it out. It's right there. But he was removed when it went back to normal and it never really returned. And word is that it wasn't really a sanctioned addition. Now, Imagineering and figure finishing and people like that, they do sometimes do this kind of stuff where they will make things and just put it in as like homages to whatever they want. And then it can be removed or, whatever, if they get caught, or maybe they'll do it for their friends and then put it back and they go, I never did that. So I think maybe that's kind of what it was more than anything. I wish it would stay there because I think it's really nice and it's a cool tribute to just a great design, man. But anyway, so he used to be there. He's not there anymore. He might be in Disney World. I don't really know. It's hard to get confirmation because things change all the time. While there are more Rolly design touches to the mansion, these are the only ones I could find with direct links back to the Museum of the Weird. But what about outside the parks, you guys?
Ooh.
Well, in 2014, Marvel Comics developed and printed a series called Seekers of the Weird. In it, two siblings deal with supernatural goings-on that stem from their parents' supernatural curio shop.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Taxidermied animals come to life and kidnap their parents,
Not good.
and it's only with the help of their uncle that they can overcome the weirdness and get their parents back. Oh, and their uncle's name is Roland.
That's cute. That's very nice.
In this series, the Museum of the Weird is a secret facility in New Orleans, which is controlled by an organization known as the Wardens. The museum is used to seal away supernatural threats from the rest of the world. It is depicted as being It is depicted as being located in an alternate dimension on a floating island with mystic plant life and vast architecture on it, with a portal to the museum existing within the curio shop. Called Keep It Weird is what the curio shop was. So in this little shop, there's a portal to this alternate dimension. And the story, the overarching plot is the Mistress of Evil that we talked about before. She's the leader of a group known as the Shadow Society, which breaks into the Museum of the Weird to release an entity known as the Reaper King, who is located inside the coffin clock. So pretty deep lore there, pretty deep Rolly lore.
A lot of lore.
Yeah. Then there's the Disney Treasure, part of the Disney Cruise Line. Now, on this ship, they have the Haunted Mansion Parlor, which is a small bar on one of the decks. And not only is this place a spiritual sister to the Haunted Mansion, complete with the man-eating plant wallpaper, but it has an actual working ghost fish aquarium display in it.
That's amazing.
Not to mention a cool Haunted Mansion-esque bust of Rolly himself. And I do have, I do have that. So this is from the Disney Parks blog. It's the first look at the Haunted Mansion Parlor. Now, I want you to, you know what? Forget what we look like. I'm going to blow this up because number one, these are good pictures. But also number two, can you imagine being in this thing? That big thing in the middle is the Haunted Mansion Ghost Fish Aquarium. That is the Rolly design. That is the exact concept. And the fish in there move. And it's great because you can see like the, algae. It's a terrible, it's busted, right? It's dirty. It's gross, but that's what it is. Look at this bar.
That's fantastic.
Isn't it fantastic? The light, like there's like the recessed ceiling. The lighting is superb. It is focused lighting. There's a fireplace, which again, that's part of the museum. That's bathed in the green light. Next to that on the left, there's the Rolly Crump statue, and it sort of looks like a Haunted Mansion, but part of the face is melting off.
Where he's melting a bit.
Yeah, which is, I don't know why. Maybe it's Candleman. Maybe that's what it is, because Candleman was supposed to melt in front of people. So that's cool. On the right there, the mirror behind the bar, you can see the hitchhiking ghosts, which I think I could do without. But there's also other ghosts that show up and like play within that mirror. So that's cool. But we don't need everything. You know what I mean? But we can look through a little bit more. So this is like a drink holder with looks like the brass bats, you know?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
They got these pictures here that are, you know, pictures from the Haunted Mansion. There's the mermaid lady, the cat lady or whatever. There's a, looks like like a dead Poseidon riding a skeleton seahorse. So cool, dude. Yeah.
And that's all Mark Davis stuff, right?
I think so, yeah. The clock right here, they have an anniversary clock over the mantle that glows green. There's just some drink.
When's the EarzUp cruise?
Forget about it, dude. Whenever you want to go. So that's what's happening. So if you go to the Disney Treasure, you got to just hang out at the Haunted Mansion parlor, dude. That is amazing. Also in 2014, Disney announced that an animated Haunted Mansion TV show was being produced. Now that, of course, didn't pan out, but there are some sketches floating around out there of concept art. And one of the concept arts features our old friends, the Talking Chair and the Mistress of Evil. So there would have been a real callback, and it's a shame that it never happened.
Very true. Unless it would have been bad.
That's true, yeah. But I can't imagine. I don't know, man. Yet another stick on the fire of never happened. When the queue redesign for the Haunted Mansion was announced several years ago, the plan was to have several Museum of the Weird artifacts represented along that queue line. Talking Chair, Candleman, all that kind of stuff. While not the museum itself, it's the closest I have heard of the parks doing anything like the original Walt approved, because that used to mean something to diehard fans. Concept of the museum walkthrough. However, budget cuts always kept this idea lean and trim until there was just nothing left on the bone. For me, it seems the museum became the repository for some of the stuff that Rowley was designing for the mansion that the other guys just didn't dig on, or maybe didn't fit with the story that was always changing. The seance room is a big example of that. So Rowley's original idea was to have a collection of just weird stuff in it, like that lizard sculpture with the bells on the tail. That would have just been chilling in the seance room. Of course, the seance room, the way it was installed, was nowhere near the vibe Rowley intended, and he publicly voiced his opinion on that, basically calling it bad show. Hot take, I kind of agree. I kind of agree. The room, it's cool. It's a cool room.
But it's black, and there's like nothing. You don't see anything other than the table.
Right. There's nothing there. It's my least favorite room because that room could go away. And you take so long to go through it too. You don't need it. It doesn't do anything for me personally. And I get it. It has to be dark to kind of like pull the floating head effect off and all that other kind of stuff. But at the cost of what could have been a very rad environment.
Yeah, because you think seance room, you think something that's got a lot of dark wood and velvet chairs and candles and everything. But yeah, we've got a spooky room.
It's true.
That might work better during Haunted Mansion Holiday.
That's true.
When they have all the cards flipping around and.
Okay, so digging around the history of the Haunted Mansion the way we have over the lifetime of this podcast, and in learning about Rowley and the Museum of the Weird, it is very clear that Rowley was just more than a guy who helped Claude with the effects. Now, that's kind of what you first learn about. Like, oh, he worked with, no, not Claude, Yale Gracie, sorry. Working with Yale on the Pepper's Ghost and stuff like that, and then you hear the Museum of the Weird, but that's kind of it. You don't really, that's where it stops. There's an incongruency in that. There's a lot of missing stuff. He had a very heavy hand in guiding the direction and the presence of the Haunted Mansion as we know it today, even if those ideas weren't really realized as they were manifested. The mansion that we could have had would have been very different in a lot of ways from what we ultimately got, and I can't tell if that would have been a good or a bad thing. So this is what I want to put to you guys. what do you think of having some of these concepts that Rolly originally intended to be in the mansion today? Like specifically the seance room. What if we just redid the seance room? What if it was the way that Rolly intended, which I know there's not a whole lot of details on that as I've provided, but I don't know. It would be different. What if we had a walkthrough at the end? What if we had all these things? How would that change the mansion for you?
Didn't he say that there was a point when we were going to be in boats too?
That was like an early concept that never went
I like
anywhere.
the boat idea too.
I like the boat idea, dude. That would have been sick.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why are we in a boat?
Who knows, man? See, I think, my thought is, if obviously it would change the Haunted Mansion. And like I said at the beginning, I don't know if that would be good or not. I don't know. I think it would be, having a lot of body parts and that kind of stuff. I think that could be trimmed down a little bit because you do want it to be family friendly, but also if the intent was to freak people out, then let's bring some of that back in. I feel like there could have definitely been a merging, a melding of these two things. And I think it could have made a better Haunted Mansion. As much as the Haunted Mansion is my favorite ride in the park, I think it could have been a lot cooler.
I mean, I was freaked out by Haunted Mansion when I was a kid. Like, it's one of my clearest memories of early Walt Disney World was going through that queue, and before they put in a whole bunch of like other stuff, just a spooky queue outside a spooky mansion, and then standing there with my dad, and he's like, "It'll be fun, I promise." And then finding out that takes a while to get fun for a kid.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I endured the spooky, and then when it became fun, I'm like, oh, this is the best. This is absolutely the best. And that was it. Like, that's the way it is now. It remains this spooky lead up.
Yes.
And I mean, they don't really do this at Disneyland, at Walt Disney World. At the time and most of the time, they do the whole thing where the doors are closed as you get up to the final doors to get into the mansion, and they start screaming and pounding on the doors, and then the doors open. There's just a calm man standing there in his Haunted Mansion outfit saying, "Welcome in," and like, of course, that freaked the heck out of me. But
naturally.
Right. But yeah, it's this aura of foreboding that is part of the entire vibe of the ride. And as you get going, you realize, the music's getting more fun and there are interesting things happening. And once you get past doors that are bending outward at you, I think that's kind of where, like, for myself, I'm like, well, they're having dinner.
Right.
If I'm honest, I think things turned out for the better.
Get out.
I love Raleigh. I love those designs. I think they have a place somewhere. I don't think it's in New Orleans Square in a there. It doesn't quite track for me.
That's fair. Okay, well, then I'll tell you what. Let's move on. Another question I want to pose to you guys is why you think the Museum of the Weird has stayed popular in the fandom for so many years. And to be honest with you, it sort of got uncovered.
It's a what if.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a what if. It's retro. It's that, like, it's Disney lore. I think anything that has a Disney lore to it, and then there's like it's like a factual lore, like, that is going to, as soon as somebody finds out about that, that's just going to move like wildfire.
And that's true. But I would also say, and I know I said the fandom in there, but I mean, the parks have been putting nods to the Museum of the Weird for a decade or more now. You had the secret to the Seekers of the Weird, you had the animation thing, you had all this kind of stuff. Like, it's still a popular concept, is this weird, creepy stuff. It has to have legs, or else they wouldn't be making money off it, right? I find that odd.
I think that is one, to feed the fandom, to feed that folklore kind of thing. But also, a true nod to Raleigh Crump, who is still alive and who can.
He's dead.
Oh shoot!
Did you forget that?
I
Really?
did forget that.
Oh no! Yeah, dude.
Oh, no.
He gone.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'm going to leave that in.
Darn it.
Yeah. Number one fan over there.
They just can't stay alive. Come
Well,
on,
no,
man.
they're like a million years old, dude.
I know.
Well, here's Rolly's take on that. This is again from his audiobook.
A lot of questions that I get asked, and one of them is, why do I think that the museum has stayed popular? And I think the answer to that is it was something that was mysterious. And if you have something that's very mysterious, even murder mysteries or whatever it is, it kind of is. It's quite intriguing, and I think that because there was never a strong definition of what it was going to be, written or conceived or anything, so it left a lot to people's imagination, and I think that was the intrigue. I do feel that. If Walt had lived, there's no question in my mind that he and I would have worked very closely on what it would have been, because he had a vision. I probably obviously had a vision. But in this particular case, I'd use his vision to produce this. And so I think that's one of the other things, because it was his idea. It just happened that I had some sketches that gave him the idea. So I think it would have been an absolute delight working with him on it, because for some reason he and I kind of enjoyed each other with a lot of little things that we did, and we'd pass things back and forth. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I think he's right.
Yeah.
And I think this is why I get so harpy on things like Star Wars, like new Star Wars, because they want to give a backstory to every stupid thing. And part of the intrigue, part of the interest and the enjoyment of, let's say, Han Solo, is because you don't know where he comes from. He's a mystery man.
Yeah.
But then once you give him a background and a story and say, I'm alone to my name is Solo, you ruin it for everybody if it's not super cool. And it never will be as cool as what people have in their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's 100% right, because it was so ethereal and not written down and not specified necessarily to the point of being completed. People are, like you guys are saying, it's a what if.
Yeah.
You fill it in.
Yeah, you fill it in. And but also it's good artwork, because the artwork sells on its own, right? Like it's those two things combined. I think it's one of those rare instances where you have a fantastic vision, fantastic art, and a great concept that just didn't happen. And it's like you see it and you go, but why?
Yeah.
This is amazing. It should have happened. So it is almost that like thirst for, an answer besides just bureaucracy, that's what it was. It was infighting and bureaucracy.
It was, but it was also, I think, fitting into its spot. I think maybe there could have been a place for Museum of the Weird, but it almost feels like it's more Tomorrowland or something. Like it doesn't fit where it was trying to go.
Maybe Adventureland.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's if you know what, maybe you're right, Taryn, which is hard for me to say.
Are you okay?
No, maybe the Museum of the Weird is more like Adventureland meets New Orleans Square, because New Orleans Square does have a lot of ghosts and stuff. So maybe it is some concept off of that. But I don't know, man. I would love if Josh D'Amaro squeaked up on stage at the next D23 in his tightest pants and said, you know what we're going to do for Disneyland Forward is we're going to have a Museum of the Weird exactly the way Rolly wanted it. The world would explode. I think the whole fandom would all be in the collective agreement that this is what should happen. Not because I'm in love with Rolly Crump or whatever, but
yeah,
if you gave the fandom, okay, hypothetically, and then we're going to take a break. If you took Rolly's designs, put them in the concept art form, solidified a bunch of stuff, figured out how it would go, separate from the mansion, okay? Separate from the mansion, it's its own thing in Disneyland Forward, and you put it side by side with friggin' Avatar Land concept.
Oh, yeah.
Which do you think the fandom would go towards?
I know.
I know, too. It would not be Avatar Land, but we're not making two more Museum of the Weird movies.
Well, and
so
also,
there's no chance for that. But if you have a Museum of the Weird concept the way it was supposed to be, and you sold that friggin' merchandise, I guarantee you it would outsell Avatar merchandise in the parks, 100%. 100%. It would be a runaway hit.
I actually don't. I don't know, because there's a difference between fans and guests. And so fans would absolutely buy that stuff, but guests might not know what that is.
I don't think they need to, because the art is so cool. I mean, think about it. They did the fish tank in the cruise, right? Like they're doing it. This is what the fans clearly want, so they're doing it. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not on a committee or anything like that, but I think they would love it. That's all.
I'd love it.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, well, let's do this, guys. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Taryn has a bunch of facts, and Erik has one. That's the official segment.
I have two now.
Oh,
I thought of another one.
We thought of another one. All right. That's cool. So we have 13 plus 2 facts to tell you.
Perfect.
Maybe cover a bit of Disney news. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Make for a long show.
I know. So hold that, everyone. It's Ears Up. We'll be right back.
And now, back to the show that ignites your dream wish of imaginations and magical color wonderment of forever. Ears Up.
Thanks for hanging on, everybody. I appreciate you. Each and every one of you. Except Ryan. I'm just kidding. I don't know. All right, Taryn, what do you got for us, man? You got some facts or something, right?
I have 13 little known facts about the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland.
Why 13?
Because the number is a fun number.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a haunted type number, and because it's Taylor Swift's favorite number, and it's like basically Taylor Swift month.
I love a haunted type number, man. Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good for me, dude. You know what? You know what my favorite haunted type number is?
What?
6, 7. 6, 7. Okay.
I kind of learned about that recently.
Yeah, it's a whole thing that means literally nothing. So
yeah.
Okay, so 13 little known facts. And I really tried to dig a little bit deeper than, like, say, a San Francisco Chronicle article, right? No offense.
Huge burn.
But, like, you know, we're a Disneyland podcast. I'm trying to go deeper than, like, oh, did you know that the Stretching Portraits room is an elevator? Like, I'm trying to go a little deeper than that.
Yeah, right.
So,
okay.
Here we go. Number 1. And I'm also... Well, I'll just let you guys Taylor Swift this out, so it doesn't matter. I put them in a particular order for you. So number 1, the Haunted Mansion was built in New Orleans Square. So a building resembling the Southern-style abode was, of course, necessary. Imagineer Ken Anderson researched the great plantation houses of the South in keeping with this kind of period setting. But the final exterior design took most of its inspiration from the Shipley Lydecker House. And the Shipley Lydecker House was located at the intersection of McHenry Street and South Franklintown Road in Shipley Hill neighborhood of Baltimore, Maryland. Now, the mansion was built by Charles Shipley in 1803 and sold to Philip Lydecker in 1906. The original configuration of the home was white brick structure with Italian-style columns, and the iconic cast iron was added later, giving it its distinctive appearance. And if you look up this house, the Shipley Lydecker House, it basically is the Haunted Mansion. The Shipley Lydecker House from Baltimore, Maryland, it looks exactly like the Haunted Mansion. Like, it is very clear that this is where the inspiration came from. Now, I got curious because, you know, we're talking about New Orleans Square. We're talking about houses in the South. We're also talking about kind of this sort of old-timey 1803, 1906 era. I wanted to know, was this Shipley Lydecker House an actual plantation that had actual, like, slaves, right? I wanted to know if they were slave owners, if Shipley and Lydecker were slave owners. And I actually could not find out. And I found it very interesting that this particular house is connected in some way with Disney, and there is zero evidence on the internet about whether there was any slavery going on at this house that was the inspiration for the Haunted Mansion. Now, I find it very interesting that there's just nothing. To me, it almost feels scrubbed.
Oh.
But
well,
I will say what I did find was that slavery was very prevalent in the broader Baltimore area during this time that this house was here. And there were enslaved people working on farms and in skilled trades like shipbuilding at this time in Baltimore. And so I think, and it's just opinion because I could not find evidence, but it's likely that these two owners of this house also owned slaves. Let's just be clear. Like it's probably the case. It's probably then good news that the Shipley Lydecker house was demolished in 1967.
Oh.
Which is also interesting because it was demolished before Haunted Mansion even actually opened. Which to me has like almost like a special lore to it where it's like almost like the ghosts from that house made it over to Disneyland or moved. I don't know. There's something kind of like fun about that being that house was gone. And then 2 years later, Haunted Mansion opened.
So, but it was the inspiration, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they had already built that facade.
They had
by that point.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Huh.
So yeah. So it's kind of interesting. So that's the outside of the house. Just as an FYI, the interior of the house was actually largely inspired by the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California.
Which sounds super cool, and I wish I had been to, but my wife has, and she thought it was super cool.
It is cool. It's cool. It is, if you believe at all in ghosts, it's pretty freaky, even during the day. They have like night tours that I would absolutely never go on. It sounds terrifying. So that would not be me. Now, number 2. In the early 90s, Imagineer Bob Baranick convinced Disneyland to purchase an antique hearse from a local antique shop to be used in an Indiana Jones stunt show. Now, when this show got canned, for one reason or another, Baranick suggested putting the hearse outside of the Haunted Mansion. Now, Tony Baxter didn't see how this would make sense, just a hearse sitting there by itself, until he thought about those little invisible dog souvenirs. You know, those like souvenirs?
I always wondered.
Yeah, it's like the little, it's like a leash that's I don't know.
It's got like a wire
in it. It's like
in
starched, or yeah, it has a wire in it, so it looks like you have an invisible dog. And so Tony Baxter thought about this and he went, okay, well, if we make it look like there's a ghost or like an invisible like ghost horse hitched to this hearse, then it makes sense. So that's what they did. And so they ended up using this antique hearse, which is a real antique hearse, and put it in front of the Haunted Mansion. And that's what you see while you're in the queue. Now, there have been rumors for a long time about this hearse being the same hearse that was used to bring Brigham Young to his final resting place.
Wait, the Brigham Young.
Brigham Young. This is a rumor that is out there that a lot of people believe, but there is absolutely no evidence linking the two. This is simply just a rumor, and it has not been confirmed by anyone. So I do not think that's true. If anyone tells you that, I don't think that is true.
That's the first time I've heard that one. That's wow.
Yeah. That's a strange one. So the next one, number 3, the Pet Cemetery. Now, we kind of know a little bit about the Pet Cemetery. If you're listening to this podcast, you like Disneyland probably enough to know that there's a pet cemetery. So in the 80s, the 1980s, a secret pet cemetery was first spotted on the west side of the Haunted Mansion. This was reportedly dreamed up by Jason's favorite Imagineer, Kim Irvine. Now, I have to say, because he's not here to dump on her, but like this was actually a really cool idea she had. Because like this was just unused space, and she just like, why not do something with it? Like instead of having just this weird patch of grass, like put up some headstones and make it a pet cemetery. Like I actually love this idea, and she didn't paint it blue, so win-win.
And it's not decrepit,
right? Yeah,
it still fits with Walt's saying like that the grounds need to look good. We can have it creepy on the inside. It needs to look nice on the outside. This is Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever he actually said, but
in this little secret cemetery, there are memorials to lots of different types of pets, but in particular, some silly ones like a skunk named Stripey. In loving memory of our pet Stripey, the epitaph reads, "You may be departed, but your scent will linger on." Because, of course, it's a skunk.
It doesn't rhyme, but it works.
It works, exactly. So this area is not and has never been readily available to guests. And it's really actually only seen if you use a wheelchair or with somebody with a wheelchair, or for some reason have to use the ADA exit. That's like the probably the easiest way you can see this pet cemetery. As guests started to notice this particular spot in the back of the yard of the Haunted Mansion, it started to become pretty popular and started to become this kind of like point of interest where people wanted to see where it was, wanted to see what it was, if it was real, if it was a rumor, if it wasn't there. And it actually became so popular that in 1993, they started moving some of the gravestones in that cemetery to the queue. And that's why you see some of the pets within the queue area now.
Right, like the rabbit and...
Yeah, I think there's a cat. I think squirrel or something like that. Yeah. But the good news is that the pet cemetery does still exist. So just because they moved some of them out to the queue so that, the general population could see it, there is still this secret kind of pet cemetery there. And you can generally see it. There's 3 ways that you can kind of see this. 1, if you exit using the ADA exit. 2, there are VIP tours that can take you to this spot. And 3, when you're in the queue you're in the queue for Haunted Mansion and you've gone through the front. Now you're in the back, like the side back of the house where it kind of goes up and down and up and down. And then you're right next to the house. And I think there's like a little mailbox, or there's some weird smaller version of the Haunted Mansion like on the wall there. I don't know. It's very cute. I always think about it. But it's right in that corner. If you sort of like peer around the edge, you can see a mausoleum, and that is part of that pet cemetery. So that is one way you can see it. You can also, if it's a good day, if it's not that busy, you could ask a cast member and maybe you'll get some Disney pixie magic and maybe they'll take you back there to look. But those are the 3 main ways that you can kind of see that pet cemetery that is still there.
That's cool. I've never actually seen that there at Walt Disney World, and someday we'll have to do a lot more about the Walt Disney World one. I've got a little bit about that.
Yeah, cool.
Today, if we have time.
Cool.
But the pet cemetery is just on the way out. But the best portion of it is they've got Mr. Toad.
Oh, wow. That's dark.
It's dark.
That's dark.
Yes.
That's funny. Okay, so now we're in the mansion. This is number 4. In the corridor, after the stretching portraits room, while you're in line and you're waiting for your doom buggy, you're met with 2 busts that follow your every move. Now, this eye trick, and this was news to me. I did not know this before researching this, but this trick of those 2 busts that follow you, whether you go left or right or up or down, like those eyes are following you, that was actually a happy accident made by Raleigh Crump. As part of the research and development for the Hall of Presidents, the Imagineers had created a mold of Abraham Lincoln's face.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And one day, Raleigh and Yale Gracie, they just happened to walk past the backside of the molded face, and they realized that when looking at the reversed angle, it appeared that Abe's eyes were following them. And they instantly just thought of how creepy that would be. And eventually along the way, this became the perfect ghostly trick for the Haunted Mansion.
Gosh, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, because it's not just the eyes, it's the whole face, the whole head.
It's very weird and creepy and such an easy, cool trick. Actually, Jason has one right behind him that he 3D printed. But yeah, it's such an easy trick that ended up working really, really well.
What number are you on, Taryn?
Number 4.
You're on number 4?
Yes.
All right, well, you've been requested to sing song.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
She's having a very hard time going to sleep. She's crying. We had a whole talk. I tried my best, but hey, man, you know what? It happens. I don't even know how to cut this together because I like to try to take some of this stuff out, but I feel like this episode, I can't hide the fact that sometimes we have to deal with kid stuff. So Taryn's going to go handle Alice for a second. So Erik, you said you had 2 facts.
I have 2 facts.
Give them to me, baby. Let's go.
Okay. You were discussing in your portion about merch.
Yes, sir.
And there is an odd bit of merch lore at Walt Disney World's Haunted Mansion.
Okay. I love a consumerist rumor.
Yeah. Well, it's not a rumor.
Oh.
This was a real product that existed in the 70s. It's never become like a huge thing, but it's something that was sold at the parks. And one of the little bits of kind of advice for people was, if you saw something that you liked, buy it, because it's only sold at that one store.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like at the time, there were so many shops that were one of a kind that there was literally a shop called the One of a Kind shop. It was an antique store in the middle of the Magic Kingdom.
Oh, that's so amazing, dude.
And they took so much care to find these items and bring them in and say, here's something that you're not going to find. It's kind of like buying a Wurlitzer piano at Disneyland.
Right.
In the old days.
Yeah.
So one of the shops near the Haunted Mansion sold spooky stuff.
Okay. We like spooky stuff.
Yeah. And it went away after a while, and now they've got this new Memento Mori shop that does sell specifically Haunted Mansion stuff that's very exclusive and is a great place to go and visit. I like it better than the Disneyland one, where they don't sell quite as spooky thing.
Right.
But at the time, an item that was just brought in by Disney buyers, like how in the world did they find this stuff? There was a line of skulls, plastic skulls that glowed in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And it was by a company called Randotti Products. And that was a combination of Randy and Dottie Smith, the people that created this line of skulls.
Okay.
And these skulls sold for maybe $5 to $10.
Not bad.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. I don't know exactly how much it was, but this company produced a lot of cast sculptures. Many of them were these glow-in-the-dark skulls. The stuff they sold outside the parks, tiki items, tombstones, spooky Halloween stuff. But Disney particularly picked up on the skulls to put outside the Haunted Mansion and Pirates when that opened eventually.
Okay.
And they sold them roughly until the 80s. And really they've become known as the Randotti skulls. So now they're kind of they are collector's items. They're not worth ridiculous amounts of money. They're worth a few $100s.
That's pretty good. I don't know, man.
Yeah, for a plastic skull that probably doesn't glow anymore.
Right.
But yeah, they're modestly priced souvenirs that were sold for a long time. There's a lot of pictures of these old shops with the skulls on the back wall. And I don't know how many people would want to buy a skull. They're at Disney World.
Right.
But you know what? You're outside the Haunted Mansion. You're outside Pirates. You see a skull. Maybe that's the thing your kid wants to get instead of a gun or a sword.
Yeah, dude.
Other things they sold at the time. Really, it's just one of those weird little things that.
Look at them. I got them right here. They're up. Yeah, so you can get them.
Switch over to that view.
You can get them for $100 on eBay, and they're cool. They're small, right?
Yeah,
but they do look pretty neat.
Yeah, they've got a lot of character. They're not just like a regular skull. They look kind of messed up.
And it's hard to describe. This one looks like an alien one. Vintage Randotti sample. Google.
Oh gosh, look at that one. Oh yeah, the eyes are huge.
Google yellowish eyes, skull, still glows in the dark. 155. And it's cool because it has a lot of texture to the skull. Like there's a lot of the pores in the bone or whatever, but he has giant yellow eyes. That's pretty wild, dude.
Yeah. And some of these have gone for like $500, $800, depending on when people think they're from.
Yeah. Like this one is there's a 4-inch one.
Oh, that's a hairy one.
With with hair on it. And it's like a necklace or a pendant or something. Not a pendant, but like a charm or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy.
They
dude.
had these different versions, like Silly Harry or Ivan. I don't know what Ivan means.
I don't know, man.
But yeah, like they showed a lot of wear and tear. Like they really looked like ancient skulls.
Yeah.
This is something that they were selling at the Magic Kingdom in the 70s.
I think it's great.
Yeah. If we're going forward, I do have another fact. There were lighting effects at the Haunted Mansion at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World that don't work anymore. At Disneyland, it was this mild effect where you could see both of them were basically meant to be someone walking with a candle through the house.
Okay.
Like walking past the windows. And I've never seen it at Disneyland. I don't know when it was supposed to be working. I don't know when it stopped working. I do know that at Walt Disney World, it was working in the early days, and I have seen portions of it working. Now, at Walt Disney World, it's a very different looking mansion. Please look it up, folks. I'm not going to go into the detail that Taryn did because I'm not prepared for that. But basically, it was a sheet metal cylinder in each window that reflected a light bulb, and it turned, and it made the light kind of move from window to window. And what that meant was, so at Walt Disney World, it's a 2-floor thing with a what's the word? Conservatory.
Okay.
A big glass conservatory in the front of the building. So you would see this candle move from room to room and then go downstairs and then walk through the conservatory and then walk through the other windows in the front of the house. And that's something you could see from the line. And of course, it worked better at night. You didn't really see it during the day. I've only seen it work in the conservatory at night, where you can see this. It really does look like someone's walking through the room with a candle in this, it's a conservatory in Florida. It's like, it's moist inside. There's lots of condensation. So there's just, the windows are all fogged. You can't really see what's going on inside. But it was such a simple effect. The unfortunate part is they didn't build a lot of space in between the wall of the exterior facade and the wall on the inside, which is where the stretching room is. And at Walt Disney World, those of you who know what's up know that it's not an elevator there. The stretching room actually stretches upward and you just walk inside. So they don't have a lot of space. There's about 3 feet where you could crawl inside and replace the light bulbs.
Oh, no.
And so after a while, they just kind of stopped doing it.
Yeah.
But it was this really creepy effect that moved between 7 windows, upper left of the facade, then downstairs into the conservatory, back to the left. It was supposed to trigger whenever the stretching room moved. They had it timed. You don't know when the stretching room is moving on the inside, but it was part of the mechanism that made it happen.
Cool. That's fun.
Seeing the conservatory lights move, creepy as hell.
I bet.
Like late at night, it's foggy out. It really does. It really did work. And I wish I could have seen it moving from all of those windows.
Oh, sure.
Through the entire thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently Disneyland had something like that too. And I don't hear a lot about that one either. I'm sure that one took it.
Oh, yeah, all breaks, man. Too. Yeah, for sure. All right, cool, man. Good job. Well, Taryn is tapping out. So she gave me her notes. So I'm going to pick her up on tip 5 or fact 5 or whatever it is. In the mid-'80s, right at the beginning of Michael Eisner's tenure as Disney CEO, Imagineers were becoming concerned that Disneyland was too predictable and were looking for ways to enhance the park. For the Haunted Mansion, they decided to team up with Disney Entertainment and populated the queue of Haunted Mansion with performers, including a Phantom of the Opera type character who would roam the queue and greet guests. They also installed a performer in a full suit of armor inside the ride to jump out and scare guests as they went through the Haunted Mansion in their Doom buggy. This quickly proved to be a bad idea as the jump was too scary for some guests and too dangerous for cast members. More than once, the jump scare caused the guest to take a swing at a cast member. I could see that. It's like that classic Vine or whatever where a kid jumps out of a garbage can and that scares his friend or whatever, and the kid just pops him so hard the guy gets knocked out and the lid falls back down because he drops back into the trash can.
The man who was in Korea is like, I'm not standing for this.
Yeah, dude. Number 6, purple eye wallpaper. Probably one of the most iconic parts of the Haunted Mansion is the purple wallpaper with creepy faces and eyes. Oftentimes, this is signature wallpaper is incorrectly credited to Mark Davis, as we've talked about before. It was really Rolly Crump and Claude Coates who created this eerie decoration. Number 7, Madame Leota. The disembodied Madame Leota head in the seance scene was developed by Rolly Crump and Yale Gracie after they had experimented with some footage of a face in a magic mirror shot for a Disney TV show. They took this footage and projected it onto a bust of Beethoven just to see what would happen. I mean, what else are you going to do, right? While early renditions of this experiment didn't exactly sync up correctly, they brought the concept to Walt, who loved it, and eventually this trick ended up being used in Haunted Mansion and is how Madame Leota effectively speaks to the guests in the seance room. Speaking of the seance room, there's a spell book on the table where Madame Leota's head is. This spell book has a photo on it of a deathly looking figure with the word death written across it. This figure has the same face as both the tallest hitchhiking ghost and the Hatbox Ghost. Only in the book, he's wearing a cloak and yielding a scythe. On the adjacent page is the spell that Madame Leota recites. If you look closely, however, there's also the incantation Cree Kra Virgo Gaba Kalto Cree, which is a spell from the 1967 film Blackbeard's Ghost.
A Disney film.
Disney film.
We'll hear about it on Buena Vista
That's
Boys
right.
eventually.
Yeah, that's right. Number 9, the bullet hole. As you glide through the mansion in your Doom buggy, you eventually end up in front of a very large piece of glass that looks down upon a ballroom full of partying and playful ghosts. Near the end of this glass window, just before the Doom buggy turns and you head into the attic, there's a small hole in the glass. While an argument could be made that the pistol-wielding dueling portraits could have made this bullet hole, that is actually not the case. In 1974, it said that a guest brought a gun into the park and subsequently into the Haunted Mansion. They then tried to shoot through the glass at the dueling portraits, but only managed to put a small hole in the glass. Reports on the type of gun used vary from a .22 caliber pistol to a BB gun. It seems to make more logical sense that it was a smaller BB gun type pistol, as the hole is small and didn't shatter the whole glass, only put a small hole in it. Now, you may be wondering, this was 1974, why haven't they just fixed the glass to get rid of the hole? As it turns out, the very large single piece of glass used for this part of the ride was put in place with the roof of the Haunted Mansion off. So the glass is literally built into the building. It would require an enormous amount of construction and time to change this glass. So instead, they discreetly cover it with spider and spider webbing.
Great.
Yeah. 10. Many of the ghost names in the Haunted Mansion, like Master Gracie, Constance, Phineas, Ezra, Gus, etc., are either fan creations or developed after the attraction opened. In the actual Imagineering documents, however, there are 2 ghosts with actual names. Madame Leota, of course. The other one is in the ballroom scene. There's a man delightfully hanging off the chandelier with a cocktail in his hand. His name is Pickwick.
Pickwick is real?
Pickwick is real. This is likely sort of an inside joke, as the Imagineers would have to pass a banquet hall called the Pickwick Center every day on their way to wed in Glendale. There you go. Number 11.
Wow.
We're cruising, man. Cruising. It's late.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 5 Husbands of Constance Hatchaway. It's pretty well known that the bride in the attic scene of the Haunted Mansion is a literal serial killer who beheads her husbands. What's less known, however, is that while each of her 5 husbands share the same fate, they each have a different backstory. The first husband is called Ambrose. He's the naive but good-intentioned son of successful farmers. He's innocent-looking and pictured in the attic wearing an ill-fitting but sensible suit and an unfashionable for the time bowler hat. How does Taryn know it's unfashionable for the time? Come on. What is she, a time traveler? B. The second husband is Frank, who's an Eastern banker and a pillar of the community. He's much more elegant, poised, and fashionable than her first husband. It's a lot like me, really. The bride's third husband was a foreign diplomat known only as the Marquis. He's in full military dress with a large number of medals, signifying his high rank in life.
Mysterious, though.
Oh, yeah, man. The bronze swimming certificate. Silver swimming certificate.
Presidential medal of fitness.
Sure. If it's not clear yet, Constance is working her way up a social ladder. This becomes clear with her fourth husband, Reginald, who is a celebrated railroad baron. He's a gambler and well-renowned gourmand. Reginald, a clearly distinguished gentleman, wears a brocade vest, whatever that means, a lacy shirt, formal jacket, and a top hat. And finally, George is the 5th and final husband of Constance. He's the owner of the manor, which later becomes known as the Haunted Mansion. George has a bushy mustache and deep-set eyes. He's wealthy and loves traveling to foreign places. His souvenirs can be found throughout the attic. The grave of poor George can be seen in the stretching portraits room. An older, gray-haired Constance is sitting atop what is revealed to be poor George's headstone.
Aww.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Speaking of George, in 2006, folklore began spreading that connected George Hightower, who is the owner of the mansion, to Harrison Hightower III, who owned Hotel Hightower, which is the Tower of Terror attraction at Tokyo Disney Sea. There's a lot of T's and towers and H's and Hightowers. This means that George is somehow a distant relative to Harrison, connecting the Haunted Mansion and the Tower of Terror in Tokyo. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, and Harrison Hightower was patterned after Joe Rohde, and that's all I know about that.
There you go. And finally, one of the most iconic and memorable scenes in the Haunted Mansion attraction is the singing busts in the graveyard. Disney chose 5 experienced and talented singers to record Disney's Haunted Mansion theme song, Grim Grinning Ghosts, written by Xavier Tensio and composed by Buddy Baker. Originally, these men were chosen simply to record the song, and then they would hire 5 other actors to portray the singing bust heads. But during recording, the 5 men were so emotionally expressive that they decided to use the singers' faces instead of hiring separate actors. The 5 men who became known as the Phantom 5 are Thurl Ravenscroft, Vern Rowe, Chuck Schroeder, Jay Mayer, and Bob Ebright. And that is Taryn's 13 and Eric's 2 facts supporting the Haunted Mansion in Spooky Month, guys.
March in the past,
We did
present,
it. We're doing one more
future
thing.
with all the news that's fit to cover. It's the EarzUp Disney News.
Real quick, 5 minutes, because my voice is getting shot. It's late, and we got to get out of here. But there is some important news to cover today. And, you know, not all of it's great, but all of it needs to be talked about. So where did my things go? There we go.
Love talking about it.
Yeah, man.
You know.
Well, I guess sticking with the Haunted Mansion theme, apparently, and you know, we always say, oh, no one really dies in Disneyland Park. Well, that's because, from my understanding, and I know we've talked about it, and I forget the actual reason, but because you need an actual doctor to declare time of death, and there's no doctors in Disneyland, so therefore you just can't say this person definitely died unless it's one of the decapitations. But like, anyway,
It's like an urban legend sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, technically.
So apparently a woman, this poor lady died after riding the Haunted Mansion. She actually had a cardiac event in a doom buggy in the Haunted Mansion. This is from MSN. A woman died this week after suffering a medical emergency during a ride at Disneyland in Anaheim. The woman in her 60s was riding the Haunted Mansion attraction before she was found unresponsive in a cart known as a doom buggy. Anaheim Fire and Rescue confirmed that its first responders were sent to the park around 6:30 p.m. They said Disneyland security did CPR on her until the firefighters arrived and took her to a hospital where she was pronounced dead. While the cause of death was not determined, Anaheim Fire officials said they do not believe there was an issue with the ride itself. Well, of course not. You're on a track, bro. What are you going to do?
Right.
The Haunted Mansion is slow moving. Blah, blah, blah. So describe. So that's basically, it. There's other, articles that detail more, but you don't really need, whatever. Who needs to know that? What I did learn.
Yeah. People. Yeah.
Yeah. What I did read about on Reddit, first of all, was that, I guess when Anaheim Fire showed up to collect this lady and put her on a stretcher and take her out, they have like an automatic CPR machine to keep things going. So this is also what I've learned about CPR. CPR is and I could be wrong, but it's to keep the keep the blood circulating in the brain so you don't have brain death. Basically, it's not to like revive the patient. It's to keep the blood flowing until they can get to a hospital. But I didn't know
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Try to get a little bit of oxygen into the blood, make sure it doesn't completely run out, and then just keep pushing that heart so that it pumps blood.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point. It stopped. It's not doing anything anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that, but so apparently they have a machine. So people were talking about, this machine strapped to this poor lady's face, doing CPR for her while she was being escorted to the hospital, where she unfortunately did not make it.
Well, it's probably better than having somebody like blow carbon dioxide and a little bit of oxygen into somebody's lungs.
I know,
that's the traditional thing.
Right.
That's what you're doing, but it's the best you can do when you're on your own.
That's all you can do, man. Yeah. Or blow a rib out. You know what I mean?
Oh, you will definitely crack a rib if you're doing real CPR.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, Taryn.
Hi.
You all right? All right. I finished your facts.
Okay.
Your fact. Now we're on news real fast, then we're going to get out of here. Yeah. Okay, so that's the worst news. Now, slightly better, but still bad news. Not on the same level. Disney raised ticket prices for Disney World and Disneyland theme parks, everybody.
Big shock.
Yeah, right.
It happens.
Disney said on Wednesday that the entertainment giant is raising admission prices for its theme parks effective immediately. That I think is new, right? The effective immediately thing, where usually don't they give you like a week or two to, get your affairs in order? Maybe not.
Depends.
Yeah. Some types of entry to the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida, and to Disneyland Resort in Anaheim will cost more on some of the most popular days of the year to visit the two parks. A single day ticket will cost roughly $199. I think that's to Disneyland. The price hikes come amid growing demand to visit Disney's theme park on certain days like New Year's Eve. For the week of Thanksgiving, from November 24th to November 29th, the cost of entry to Disneyland will be $224.
Wow.
That's a $25 increase. Yeah. Prices will rise by the same amount for the holiday period between December 20th and January 3rd. At Disneyland,
I'm glad I have stock in this company.
At Disneyland Resort, pass prices are also increasing. 5 of the passes are increasing by 3% or less. The lowest price ticket will remain unchanged at $104. So there you go. The Inspire and Believe Magic Key passes will increase by $150 and $100 respectively. The Inspire Key now costs $1,899. The Enchant and Imagine passes will not raise in price. So socialism, subsidies from the rich. Finally, we're getting trickle down. We're getting something. I wish it was healthcare. At Walt Disney World, the lowest and highest price tickets on sale through October 2026 remain unchanged. So there you go. So, some stuff is increasing in price. Other stuff is not.
Wow.
That's a new thing.
Yeah, that is a new thing, right? Okay, so then third on the tier of just a fun thing, there's a Gordon Ramsay pub coming to downtown Disney in Anaheim. So there you go, dude.
Okay.
It's called the Carnaby. It's a new British gastropub.
I saw that. Where are they planning on putting that one?
I don't know. No opening date has been announced. The pub will feature his classic dishes like beef Wellington, fish and chips, and sticky toffee pudding.
What about his scallops? That's what he always yells about on the show.
Put 2 pieces of bread over your face. What are you? A stupid sandwich. The pub will be located on top the new Earl of Sandwich. It'll be second level there.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
First of all, gastropub is a thing that someone started in like 2004, and it's such a dated word. I hate it so much.
Yeah, that's not really all that new. But I mean, downtown Disney is so empty right now. They got Din Tai Fung in. They haven't put Porto in yet. They've got this steakhouse that they're putting in where Tortilla Joe's used to be.
Yeah. They got a lot. They got a lot of food, man. When we were there, hanging out, there was the Din Tai Fung always had a line.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. It was wild. Let's see. This is wild. In addition to beer, wine, signature cocktails, Gordon Ramsay at the Carnaby is what it's called, will come alive at night with live music carrying the energy of the 60s. I almost cussed. What? Why? The 60s?
A themed restaurant?
Imagine, this is a quote, imagine stepping into a space inspired by London's famed Carnaby Street during the height of the 60s cultural revolution. Plush interiors, iconic British pop art, and an irresistible soundtrack of British invasion rock bands, all transporting patrons to a groovier, more glamorous time. Soak in the sights from 2 stylish outdoor terraces, gather at the lively bar area, or tuck into signature booths while savoring Gordon Ramsay's renowned cuisine. It's from the Disney Parks blog. That
signature
sounds
booze. They didn't have good booze in the 60s,
booths.
did they?
Booths.
Oh, booths.
Yeah. Each booth is going to be a theme. I don't know. That seems weird, dude. I don't know. It just, whatever. What music from English music from the 60s? So the Beatles, but you probably can't play the Beatles. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Whatever. If you like Gordon Ramsay, that should be great. If you want to go get beef Wellington and listen to bubblegum pop, cool. I hope you enjoy it.
Hiring an Austin Powers impersonator.
I know, right? That's basically all it sounds like. And last but not least, have you guys heard about Banana Ball? Do you know what Banana Ball is?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, Taryn,
the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah, let me tell you what Banana Ball is, Taryn. It is baseball, but actually fun to watch.
Doubt it.
You know, it really is. So it's like these people. It's most okay. So first of all, Zach from this last season of Big Brother.
Yeah,
he was saying that he's going to try out for the Savannah Bananas and do Banana Ball.
Okay.
And what it is, it's like they come out to like songs and everybody dances. Like the outfielders and infielders have coordinated dances. There's a lot of just kind of fun circus type environment. Like it's almost like if the Harlem Globetrotters got bored and played baseball one day.
I see.
That's what I think it is. But both teams teams equally have a showmanship thing to it.
Okay.
So it's like WWF wrestling with a little less blood.
Okay.
Kind of like that.
Okay.
Well, anyway, Disney World is going to host 2 Banana Ball games. This is like the sport, dude. Wow. This is like I think in 20 years, this will be on par with MLB because baseball is friggin' boring. Baseball is boring. I've never sat and watched a Savannah Banana Ball game, but I've seen clips of it online. Go check it out. It's very funny. It seems invigorating. And, whatever. So Disney World is going to be prepping for the party animals and the Loco Beach Coconuts to play in 2026.
Wow.
The games will not feature the original Savannah Bananas crew, instead pitting the party animals and the Loco Beach Coconuts, all teams within the Banana Ball Championship League. And that's all the information I have. So next year, check that out if you want to go see that at Disney World.
Interesting.
You know, why not? I think it's if you used to play AAA ball and still got an arm, try out for the Banana League, bro.
What a weird
There you go.
thing.
I know, but you know what? It's one of those sports that like you kind of just start somewhere like as a beer league, and then people go, dude, I would pay to watch this. And then they do it, and it's crazy. Another one I saw, I'll tell you what, I forget what it was called. I can't remember it, but it's golf. But instead of hitting a golf ball, you're kicking a soccer ball.
It like into a hole?
Well, I don't know. Yes, I guess. I don't know. I didn't get that far in the clip. But they were just like teeing off, and it was like a bunch of dudes, like a compilation of people like teeing off, and they're just kicking a soccer ball. And it's like, that's great. That to me is pretty cool. So I like a lot of these kind of weird takes on modern sports, man. So as much as I dislike baseball because it bores me to no end, this seems like a fun alternative to it.
All right.
And like, people are still, good, right? Like this one dude, I saw a clip. He was going out for a fly ball. He was in the outfield, and he sees it in sight, and he does a backflip and catches the ball.
It's very performative.
It's very performative, thoroughly unnecessary, but highly entertaining.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, man. But yeah, mark my words. These kinds of sports will overtake modern sports, or at least be on par with them for several years.
They kind of should.
Should, because everything's boring. All right, speaking of things that are not boring, that's for sure. Join us on Patreon. Please go to patreon.com/earsup today. Support this network. We do not do these shows without you guys, and you are the number one reasons we do these shows. So thank you very much. Oh my God, Eric.
Yes.
What's going on? What's going? Thank you. What's going on else at the non-th thing, man? What's up with the network?
Well, the LSAT thing in the place. Puny Pod it swears they will get to Shang-Chi soon.
Okay. All right.
Great movie.
All right.
Great movie.
On the cruise line, he's going to book another. The movie.
Yeah. Kung Fu in San Francisco. And they did a pretty, as Ryan says, we did a pretty good intro to the Marvel Zombies universe.
Okay.
In their last monthly bugle. It's a good show. It came from the What If series, and now they're doing a separate series it's one of their animated Marvel shows. It's good material.
Nice.
Dan suggests that people listen to Bowie-splaining while the Supreme Resort takes a break, because we're taking a break for reasons.
Okay. Yeah, everyone needs a break, man.
Yeah. Bowie-splaining continues. I'm going to post an episode of that soon about the album Let's Dance.
Nice.
Is it on the EarzUp podcast network?
What?
Exactly.
Also,
it should be.
Do you want to pay for the hosting fees?
If you guys have other pods that you want to do, put them on the network. It can only help, because the more, yes, I would be happy to do that.
We'll talk. Both of the people who listen to the show would be happy to.
Well, then you can promote it more. I'm kidding. You can promote whatever you want, dude. You guys work for free. Do whatever you want.
Something we are doing on the EarzUp podcast network is so because we're on a break with that show, the Supreme Resort. We're putting out a series of kind of blue sky shows under the title of Dirty Yellow Strap. And the first one that we're going to do is going to probably come out this weekend. And it's called Fantasyland Draft League.
Okay.
Sounds fun.
And we had a lot of fun recording it. It's an RGH joint. And Brian Sorrow's on it, and David Sally's on it, and I'm on it.
Wow!
Fun.
We'll have plenty of guests. It's an RGH thing, so we'll figure out how it goes.
Nice.
But basically, we did a serpentine draft of I think that's what it's called, of our favorite attractions in the parks. Like, pick your best 5 park attractions, and there you go.
Okay.
And we had a lot of fun talking about it earlier this week. That's coming out soon.
Nice.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
And then those Bantha boys, they just put out an episode about Grand Admiral Thrawn, and what the heck does it mean that there's a guy named Grand Admiral Thrawn that you've never seen in a movie, in a Star Wars movie? One of the best characters of all time, seriously.
Nice.
In Star Wars. So they're he and James and that other guy, that guy that's been doing it for a while. I think his name is Rob. They came up with the whole thing. I haven't listened to the episode yet. It's near on my list, but they know what they're talking about, and it's bound to be a good episode because it's such a cool character.
Awesome.
So
love it.
That's what's going on with them.
Cool. Sounds great.
Buena Vista boys, what y'all doing?
I don't know, man. What are we doing? We just released Almost Angels. I think that was like a week or two ago. And then we have I forget our new show coming up, but we're gonna do it next weekend. We're gonna record that here on Twitch, so check that out.
All right.
Yeah. There we go. That's it.
All of them.
That's it. All right. Well, if you want to promote, or not, if you want to support all the bunch of shows that you just heard and kind of more content, patreon.com/EarzUp. You can tell I'm tired. My voice is going. I can't think straight. We're done here. It's late. Yeah. So I apologize.
Holy crap.
But EarzUp podcast exists solely on Patreon donations and support. So please consider giving. You get a bunch of shows beyond the shows that Erik kindly rattled off to you guys too. There's a lot of custom content on there as well. I'm also working on a new Pyramid Eye the Ears show as we speak about UFOs. That'll be a good time. So check that out too. Patreon.com/EarzUp. Also on Twitch. If you're listening live, it's twitch.tv/EarzUp. If you're not, I'm doing more gaming on a consistent basis. We're doing Tuesday, Thursdays, Fridays from 9 to noon. And, so come hang out with that. It'll be a good time, chit chat, play some games and do whatever. So that's a fun time for you guys there too. All right, everybody. Thank you very much, Taryn. Sorry you didn't get to rattle off all your stuff, but I finished it up for you, and it probably wasn't as good as you would have done, but I did it anyway.
Thank you.
All right. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Our next show for this is going to be Spooky Stories. So tune in for that. I'll try to promote that a little bit more. Yeah, it'll be a good time. Yeah, I got to start. I got to start doing it. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And until next time, we'll see you.